Hey guys, what's up? Cardfight here, and today I'm here with a Yasuie deck profile. This is the updated build from the technical booster, so there's lots of new cards in here, and the deck is definitely a lot stronger now. There's also some very solid support for this deck, and this build might not be a build that you guys have expected. So anyway, I'll explain that a bit later, but let's get right into the deck profile. So for the starting Vanguard, we're running Fugen. Fugen is the new starting Vanguard from the technical booster, and his skill is Shadow Stitch, Generation 1. At the end of the battle that your unit attacked the Vanguard with, if this unit is boosting, if the attack did not hit, choose one of your open rearguard circles in the back row, and this unit may move to that rearguard circle. If you move this unit, then you can stand this unit. So basically, he becomes a multi-use booster as long as you don't hit. It's quite useful. And second skill is even more useful. It's to rest this unit, and then you can choose a unit from your drop zone and put it to the bottom of your deck. And if that unit has the Shadow Stitch ability, you can choose one of your units, and it gets plus 2000 power until the end of turn. So basically, he can help you make your grade 2s be able to hit by themselves so that they can attack from the back row. It's quite nice. And you can also recycle your units that way, because this deck does go through units very fast, and then you can put them back into the deck so that you can search for them again. It's quite nice overall. Next, we're running for Yasuie. Yasuie's skill is once per turn, Generation 2. When a card is put back into your deck with a card effect, then you can search your deck for a card with that same name and call it to a rearguard circle, and then shuffle your deck. So basically, if a card goes back in, then you can call it back out, so that you can probably search for a target for it next turn again. Or you can just use it to gain field advantage and whatnot. The second skill is kind of lost one. Once per during your turn, if a unit strikes on top of this card, then you can choose one of your rear guards, and you can search your deck for up to 2 units with the same card name as that card, and then call them to separate rear guard circles, and then at the end of the turn, put those cards back to the bottom of your deck. So it kind of combos with his first skill. So if you, for example, they go back to the deck, so you can search for it so that you can probably use them as interceptors or whatnot if you want. Yeah, nothing much else to say about that, I guess. Next, for grade 3, we are running for Yasuie Reverse. So a lot of people will probably be asking me why I'm not running Aragoto instead. And it's because I was testing this card, and he's actually not that great. The only time he is sort of useful is when you stride into Buster, and that's actually not that often. This card is not that great. So, and this deck uses a lot of soul, so you're not going to get to use him a lot, which in turn means that you won't be using him a lot. However, if you misstride and go into Yasuie Vogue still has a specialized stride, so it's quite powerful. And his own skill is also, it's not the best, but it's not horrible. So there's that. Mainly, there's that, and his on call you can search for a unit, so, or on ride you can search for a unit, so that's okay. It's a counter blast 2, but this deck counter charges really easily, so not big of a problem. I definitely would recommend playing Yasuie Vogue over Aragoto. There's a build in Japan right now that's topping, and it also used Yasuie Vogue instead. I'm guessing it's for the same reason that I'm using it. But yeah, honestly, this card is a little overrated in my opinion. He's honestly not that great. So yeah. Alright. So for the next grade 2, we're running Yashabayashi. So we're running 4 Yashabayashis. It's a new card from GBD0 from Technical Booster, and it's quite strong. Skill is Soul Blast 1. When this card is called to the rearguard circle, you pay the cost. If you do, this card gets plus 2000 power and a new ability. And the abilities, Shadow Stitch. When this unit attacks at the end of the battle. If this card did not hit, you can countercharge 1, and then you can choose one of your units, and it gets plus 2,000 power. And then his second skill is if you have Yasuie grade 4 or higher Vanguard, then this card can attack from the back row. So obviously, if you call him, you pay for a skill. If you don't hit, then you're gonna probably give the 2k to another one of your grade 2 rear guards so that you can attack again. So you can just chain attack, which is actually really good with the Yasuie Tenma. And him being able to attack from the back row is not bad either. So, yeah. Alright, so next we're running 4 Fujino. Fujino's skill is when a Fujino is placed on a rear guard circle during this turn, this card gets plus 2,000 power. When another Fujino gets called to a rear guard circle. And a new skill. So, and the new skill is when this card attack hits, you can choose one of your face down damage and flip face up, so you can unflip countercharge. She's good as an opening target for your strides, because it does put a little pressure on your opponent. It is not a shadow stitch ability, so yeah. But since you will be calling multiple copies of her out, you can use the ability, so it's quite strong. And yeah, so 4 Fujino. Next, we are running the 3 double daggers. Double dagger skill is Shadow Stitch. Retire this unit. When this card attacks at the end of the battle, if this card did not hit, you can choose one of your grade 1 or grade 3 units and search for your deck with a unit in the same name as that card and call it to a rear guard circle. And then at the end of the battle, put that called unit to the bottom of the deck. So obviously, if you have a grade 3, for example, if you have a Yaki Vogue here, attack here, doesn't hit, kill this card, search your deck for another Haki Vogue, and you're going to use it to attack again. It's quite nice. It makes your opponent decide to either take a hit or lose more cards from the hand because they have to guard for it. So, yeah, Double Dagger is quite a nice card. I want to run this at 4, but I don't know. There's a lot of cards that I don't want to not run. So, yeah. Alright. Next, we're running 2 Oboro card. Oboro card's ability is kind of last one. When this card is placed on a Vanguard or rear guard circle, if you're a removal Vanguard, you may pay the cost. You can search your deck for a card that's not Oboro card. And a rear guard that's not Oboro card. And call it to a rear guard circle. So then at the end of the turn, that card goes back to the bottom of the deck. So you just search for a card on the field that's not him, and then you call it and use it to attack and stuff. So you can target Fujino or one of these things. There's a lot of things you can do. Oboro card's just a very nice card to search. It's, for example, like if you stride and you don't have any targets on the field yet, you can just call something and then use Oboro card to call another thing. He's quite good for that. And kind of West 1 is not that expensive for a clone, so yeah. And if you're generating 2, you can just keep that unit on the field with Yasui's skill. So, yep. Alright. Next, we're running 4 Onibayashi. He's also a new card from the technical booster. Skill is Shadow Stitch, Generic 1. When a unit attack does not hit, during this turn, this card gets a new skill, and that skill is move this card into soul. When a unit attack hits, if you have a Vanguard with either Shadow Stitch or Yasui in its name, a Shadow Stitch ability, or a card with Yasui in its name, then you can pay the cost if you do, draw a card, and countercharge 1. So what that means is, say you have like 3 units on the row, and then you attack with this, and it does not hit, then his ability will proc, and he'll get that new skill, and then from then on, any other unit that hits, you can pay for the skill, or pay for the cost, and move it into soul to countercharge and draw 1. So basically, yeah, your opponent's probably makes your opponent. It plays lots of mind games with your opponent. It's like, oh, should I take this hit so he doesn't get the ability off right away, and then just guard for it afterwards, or do I wanna take it? I mean, do I want to guard it and then have him get the ability, and then have a potential to have him get the ability off later? So yeah, it's quite a nice card. Next, running 4 Stride Fodder. Sometimes you might call your Hockey Evokes out, so gonna use Stride Fodders. And running 4 Pro-Guard Gs, cause Pro-Guard Gs just for some extra unflipping, in case you don't have enough damage to use. It happens sometimes. And then next, running 4. Nope, JK 8 crit. He helps with his soul, because this deck does use Soul Blast more than it does use Counter Blast. So, well, you can. This deck, I guess, it uses more Counter Blast, but since you can countercharge a lot easier, Soul Blasting is a bigger problem, so that's why we're running him. Running 4 of this new stand. It's quite a nice card. It has the Shadow Stitch ability, generic 1. Put this card to the bottom of your deck. If you're if this card boosts a unit that's attacking your opponent's Vanguard at the end of the battle, if the attack did not hit, you can pay the cost. If you do, counter charge 1, soul charge 1, and then give one of your units plus 4k. So she's aight. And then running 4 heal triggers, of course. So yeah. So sorry if I'm rambling. I'm really tired today. I've been playing Pokemon Go all day. It's released in Hong Kong now, so I spent the last few days just running around catching Pokemon. So great times. Alright, for the Stride Zone, G Zone, we're running 1 Buster. So Buster's skill is Generic 2, Counter Blast 1, so Blast 2, choose a card from your hand, discard it. Choose a card in your drop zone and put it to the back into your deck, and then you can choose from your rear guards and search your deck for a card with the same name as that card. Call to your rear guard circle and shuffle your deck, and then during this turn, that card gets a new skill, and that skill is on a rear guard circle. Once per turn, when this card attacks, you may drive check, and then at the end of the battle, put that card back to the bottom of the deck. So what this means is, if you call out either Yasuie or Hakivoke with this card's effect, when this card attacks, it will get Twin Drive. So he is good for that. But if you don't have any great 3 to call out, you just get 1 drive, which is kind of but it's a nice option to have. He's not, in my opinion, he's not really the game winner, because I'd rather use my soul for other things in this deck. But if you do happen to get a lot of excess soul from either these or these or these or where is it? Or these, then feel free to use this. I personally only use like a few times, but yeah, because this deck actually has a lot of really good finishers. So he's just one of them. Next we're running 2 Kagame Sushi. Skill is when a unit is called to the rear guard circle. If you have a unit with two or more of the same unit with the same name, then those units get plus 2,000 power, and this new skill of being able to attack from the back row. So if you stride into this and you have Yasui and you pay for the cost for Yasui, then those 2 units get to attack from the back row. So we're running 2 because he's actually really good at chipping away at your opponent's hand with cards like, what is it? Cards like her and him. So it's quite nice. The key thing in this deck is being able to attack for 11k, so that you can just chip away 5k guys at your opponent's hand. The worst is they drop 5. The best is that they drop a 10. So yeah. Next we're running 1 Hakivogue Nayuta. So skill is if you have choose one of your Haki rearguards and put it to the bottom of your deck. If you have Haki Heart, then you can choose one of your units and choose a unit with the same name as that and call it to open rearguard circle, or it doesn't have to open, just call it rearguard circle and shuffle your deck. And then during this turn, the called unit gets plus 10,000 power, and at the end of the turn, it goes back to your hand. So giving a 10k boost to a card is actually pretty strong, and since this deck does run stand triggers, yeah, you can attack for another 10k potentially. So next, we are running one of the new cards from he's not new. One of the cards from Fighters Collection. So his skill is, when this card's placed on Vanguard circle, you can choose one card from your hand and call it to a rearguard circle, and then choose one of your rearguards, and during this turn it gets plus 2,000 power and the ability of being able to attack from the back row. So as you can see, there's a pattern in this deck. There's a lot of attacking from the back row. Yeah, which it's kind of good against Link Joker, but it's also kind of not good against Link Joker. But we'll see next set how this deck fares. But yeah, one of him. There's a lot of really good options in this deck to run. So there's a lot. You can see there's like a lot of really weird cards here. Anyway, running 4 Yasuie Tenma. So Yasuie Tenma's skill is, once per turn, generate 2. You can G flip 1 Yasuie Tenma from your G zone and flip face up, and then during its turn, this card gets a new skill, and it's Shadow Stitch. Activates in Vanguard circle. Cost 1. When a unit attacks a Vanguard and does not hit at the end of the battle, you can pay the cost. If you do, search your deck for a unit with the same name as the unit that attacked and call it to a rearguard circle, and then shuffle your deck afterwards. So as long as you don't hit, you can just keep paying the cost for this card and just keep spamming units to attack your opponent. It gets really annoying, so yeah, you're bound to hit if you have a lot of damage. Next, we're running 2 Homura Rider. Rider is it was a pretty good card before. It's still okay. Its skill is counterblast 2, G flip 1 Homura Rider, and choose if you have 2 more face up cards in your G zone, then this card gets -1 drive and a new skill. And that skill is, when this card attacks at the end of the battle, you can choose 3 rearguards with the same name and kick it back into your deck, and then stand this unit. So you get Twin Drive, which is okay, and you lose 3 units, but that's fine because it's fine. And also you get a restand, so it's quite good. We're not running Lake Diver in this deck, simply because I don't feel the need of running Lake Diver. You can just clone these instead. Clone these or these. Actually, you're probably just gonna clone this most of the time with Yasui's skill, so that if you have 3, you can just keep attacking with these and then just kick them back into the deck. So you don't really need Lake Diver. Lake Diver makes things a little bit more consistent, but there's a lot of great ones I want to run in place of Lake Diver. So yeah. Alright, let's move on to the G Guardians. So running 2 from the Fighters Collection. It's a pretty good card. Skill is, when this is playing in the Guardian Circle, you can choose one great 1 or above rearguard and choose your deck. Look for a card in your deck with the same name as that card and put it in the Guardian Circle, and then shuffle your deck. And then during this battle, that unit gets a new skill, and that new skill is, when this unit is placed from the Guardian Zone to the drop zone, you can put this card back to the bottom of your deck. So it's pretty much just like a free 5k guard, I guess. Instead of getting the 5k, you get a clone something. So the bad thing is, if you do clone a card that you don't have, then well, GG. Another good thing is, if you're not running Perfect Guard Gs, you can clone the old Perfect Guard to Perfect Guard with, but that's very, very situational. So yeah, don't recommend doing that. I'd rather run the Perfect Guard Gs instead, but it is an option if you don't have Perfect Guard Gs. Next, running one Dismal, one Screw, and one of the new one. So the new one is when this card, when your opponent's Vanguard is attacking you during the battle, if this card is placed on your Guardian Circle, you can choose one of your rear guards and move that unit to the Guardian Circle, and then during this battle, that unit gets plus 5,000 power, and then you search your deck for a card with the same name as that card, and you also put it to Guardian Circle. So she's good for adding a little bit of guard, but sometimes when you don't have that a unit that you want to get rid of, then you're just going to use Screw instead, so you can discard from hand. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this deck profile. Sorry I've been rumbling. The effects in this deck is quite long, so my translation is probably not super good, but yeah. That's pretty much it for this deck profile. Sorry for rumbling again. I'm super tired from playing Pokemon Go. If you guys are playing Pokemon Go, you guys probably understand how I feel. So yeah, I might make some Pokemon Go videos, but I'm not sure yet. It's a lot of work. So anyway, this is Cardhaku, and I'll see you guys later.